Cimoooooooo!
What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. Today I want to do a video discussing probably my most anticipated card that's kind of flying under the radar currently out of the Dark Illusion, and that's the Forceful Checkpoint. Now, for those of you who don't know what this card does, it's a normal trap card. It's going to be a secret rare, and the effect reads that when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you look at your opponent's hand. And if they have a monster card in their hand, you get to negate the attack and then discard one monster card from their hand to the graveyard. Now, this is a really interesting card for a couple reasons, and I want to kind of give a little bit of background as to why I think so. So, all across Yu-Gi-Oh, we've had cards that allow you to look into your opponent's hand. We've had cards like the Forceful SENTRY, which is kind of what this card is an allusion to. That card allows you to look at your opponent's hand and shuffle a monster back into the deck. Then you had cards like Confiscation, where you paid 1,000 life points and discarded a card from their hand to the graveyard. And then there was also DUSTSHOOT, which is a trap version, and it was a little bit more conditional because your opponent had to have 4 or more cards in their hand, and you shuffle a monster in their hand back to their deck. So, we've had cards like this before. The one thing that all 3 of those cards have in common is that they're all on the fucking ban list. And the reason for that is because they're all really fucking good cards. Forceful SENTRY and Confiscation have been banned for such a long time. DUSTSHOOT didn't get the axe till a little bit later on when people figured out DUSTSHOOT was a really good card. Even though it was so conditional, people were running it. It was limited down to 1 along with Mind Crush. One of the most notorious combos back in the day was people with DUSTSHOOT get to see your whole hand, shuffle a monster back, and then Mind Crush, basically the best card in their hand. So, really dirty combo, especially back for the day. And now, we're at the point where basically all those cards are out of the game. But now here we are again with a new iteration of a card that allows you to look in your opponent's hand and cause some disruption. Now, there are some drawbacks to this card, I'm not gonna lie. It is a trap, which is a bit slower, and it does require your opponent to make an attack. So, unlike DUSTSHOOT, where you can essentially flip it right when your opponent has 4 cards in hand, this card, you basically need to wait for them to attack, which means that they have all of their main phase to basically possibly pop this card in your back row. It's super susceptible to any sort of disruption, so it's not like the best in that respect. But, if it does manage to go off, the effect and the benefit that this card can provide is absolutely incredible. So, first off, you get to look at your opponent's hand. There aren't many cards now that allow you to do that, and especially from a competitive aspect, being able to look at your opponent's hand is invaluable information because you essentially get to see everything they have, what they're planning, if they're planning anything. You can kind of dictate their lines of play going forward in the turns to come, and then you're prepared to basically counteract that because now you have all that knowledge available to you. And then the other part of it is you get to discard a monster out of their hand, and that's just amazing for so many different reasons. I mean, against Monarchs, you could discard one of their Aethers out of their hand so that they can't Aether you during your turn. You can discard, any of the KOZMO ships, and since they're not being destroyed, the KOZMO ships aren't going to trigger. You could discard a hand trap, because hand traps being harbored in the hand is what makes them so powerful, because they're basically traps that can't be, destroyed or really tampered with at all. So the fact that you can stop something like an Effect Veiler, a Max C, Ghost Reaper, any Ghost Ogre, any good hand trap basically, this card can just say fuck it, you can just get rid of it, and then on your next turn, you're free to do whatever you want. And not to mention, it also negates the attack, so it is protecting you to an extent, and if this card resolves, more than likely you're probably not going to lose that turn unless they have an incredibly massive board to just push through everything that you're essentially capable of doing. So, overall, this card is really interesting for a couple reasons. Do I wish it was a little bit different? Yeah, if it ended the battle phase, kind of like, Valk or Electromagnetic Turtle, it'd probably be a lot better card, borderline broken even, because if it can end an entire battle phase, that's pretty nuts. So I think the fact that it negates 1 attack is kind of a good balance to kind of stop this card from just being utterly ridiculous, but it's still a really good card nonetheless. Now, there are some drawbacks like I mentioned. It is a trap, so it's a bit slow. If you're playing it against Burning Abyss or Phantom Knight Burning Abyss, anything you discard outside of a hand trap is basically going to make you go minus, because it is a 1-for-1, but if you get rid of a Scarm or, anything, you're basically giving them a free card, and you kind of just lost that card for nothing. So, it does have its drawbacks. From a competitive aspect, though, I honestly see this card being side deck worthy. Like, this card has a lot of potential, especially depending on the matchup, to just completely disrupt plays. I mean, for Monarch players who play, you know, Thestalos the Mega Monarch, being able to look at your opponent's hand and rip their best card can honestly win you the game if it's in the right aspect. So, just having that knowledge to look at your opponent's hand is, like I said, it's invaluable, and it's something that I really like that they're trying to reincorporate into the game, but not making it too broken to the level of, you know, Forceful, SENTRY, Confiscation, Trap, DUSTSHOOT levels. So, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the Forceful Checkpoint. I'm really, really excited to see this card come out. Gonna definitely pick up a playset. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Cimoooooooo!